We are live. And you know what? I've gone and done, Boo Boo. I haven't put my AirPods in.
I can hear you.
Yeah, but let's put these in. Better sound.
You haven't put your earrings in, you mean?
So
they
I
look
can
like
hear.
Mate.
They look like what?
Earrings.
Thank you. Pat Butcher specials, mate.
Absolutely.
Let's see if this. There we go.
No, we can't hear you now. Don't try these tricks.
You can't hear me at all.
Now we can.
You can't hear me.
Now we can. Yes.
Good.
You went silent on us before. Either that or you were miming.
I would be taking these straight back to the Queen Vic in where is it? I can hear you. We can hear you, mate. It's like the bloody pantomime. So look, guys, let's do some shout outs. Thank you to everybody who's here live. Slavic is representing us again on YouTube live. Stop laughing. Come on, mate. Come on. Zach is in the house on Facebook. So we're broadcasting live on YouTube live and Facebook live. Thank you, everybody who is tuning in. Nicholas, we've got you in the house. Gary's in the house. I'm not going to say that one on air. No,
don't skip the comments, Gav. Every comment is counted for.
And you shall get your return. You shall get your return on that. Oh, we've got Yanis in the house as well. Good to have you with us. Raj as well. And Kevin. This is good. We've got you live. So look, guys, we're going to be interested to see what you think about some of the news that we're gonna share today. So first of all, we are going to share Bitcoin news of the day. So thanks a lot for joining us on the live. We're going to be talking about all the news of Bitcoin, and there has been quite a lot of news. So I'm going to have to go to my notepad because I took some notes beforehand. So many countries are now legalizing or on the verge of legalizing Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. I mean, this would have been unheard of even a year ago. So, you know, less than a month ago, El Salvador, they basically legalized tender of Bitcoin, right? They're encouraging their population to use Bitcoin wallets instead of putting money in banks or using fiat money, right? So now, a few weeks later, 3 million people are now using a Bitcoin wallet, which is way more than than people that are holding money in banks in El Salvador, which is absolutely huge for the movement of cryptos. Now, we don't have an agenda either way. We're just going to share the news. And like Andy says, as a former professional trader, his emotions aren't included in this. He just looks at the raw data and the charts. So when you hear something like this, how do you feel about this? What does it make you think about the crypto market on the whole?
Well, look, you know, and I know Panama are kind of on the way to do the same thing, and I kind of think, like, you know, these I guess, you know, these countries are starting the movement. They've got a lot to gain from this working, you know, with their own currencies. Situations, but you know, for me, it's kind of like a test pilot, but it's a big sign as to where crypto is going to go. Now, we've believed this for a long time now, that, you know, where we think Bitcoin is going and where we think crypto is going. But I guess it kind of, you know, when you see like real world situations where they're now using it, you know, to go and get a coffee, to go and buy your groceries, and you're paying with Bitcoin, it's huge. I mean, it's huge. I mean, if you kind of remember when, because change is difficult for all of us, and you know, I guess, like, for those that live in Europe, when the euro first came out, if you kind of recall that, like, you know, I know, like, in England, we haven't experienced that. And obviously in Australia, you haven't experienced that. But I know, because I used to go to Cyprus a lot, to Greece a lot. And we had the drachma and the Cypriot pound. And then the euro came in. It was like, what is this? Like, how can we pay with euros? And it's like weird, right? You're not used to it. And now it's just, that's what you do. You pay with euros, right? And I feel like that's the path that we've just started with Bitcoin in a way. Like it's not here. It's not in our own country. We're not using it right now. Well, you can use it, but not like in the way El Salvador is using it. But I think it's huge. And I think obviously it's kind of an experiment. Everybody's kind of watching in to see how it's going to work. And I know, Ofer, you were telling me that there's like discounts now for using it. So they're really, really, really trying to help people use it, which is really cool. I mean, I think it's amazing. It's great to see it progress in this way. And it really adds to the layer of legitimacy, you know, of crypto in general, and also of Bitcoin in particular. And, you know, with all the tokenomics and all the technicals and all the other thing, there's only one outcome that I can kind of foresee for Bitcoin, which is, you know, a price a lot higher than where we are today in the future. And of course, like, as you know, nothing moves in a straight line, but, you know, for me as a long-term investment, it makes absolute sense.
Yeah. So the bribe, should we say, that they're using in El Salvador, they're giving 20% off the fuel when they go and fill up their vehicles if you pay with the Bitcoin wallet. So they're really trying to incentivize people as much as possible, you know, just for everything, like literally paying for coffees, like you said, paying for sending money, receiving money, even just things like that is day-to-day life now, which is huge. And I guess if you were running a country, that's the way that you would do it, right? You would try and incentivize. What doesn't make sense to me, though, is because obviously petrol is so heavily fiat, right? That whole petrodollar thing, yet they're linking the two and they're using that to get people to convert over to cryptocurrencies, which I find quite ironically pleasing, should we say?
Yes, no, I can see that, but look, and the other thing that's like quite, and I think, I guess, I don't know if somebody tweeted this in our group, where I think, is it the Turkish Prime Minister came out and said, you know, he was completely against Bitcoin or something, and the El Salvador guy basically said to him, well, you know, you guys can stay poor then. You know, and obviously tongue in cheek, but I guess like what's also an interesting angle about all of this is that, you know, obviously El Salvador is not it's not an affluent part of the world in terms of its people. And, you know, kind of imagine getting paid in Bitcoin, imagine getting your salary in Bitcoin and being able to save Bitcoin, what that's going to do to the wealth of that nation as well. And I think that's also an interesting angle. So the fact that they've got all these incentives right now, I don't think these incentives are going to be needed in the future. Once this is in motion, and once, imagine like right now, you know, these people have got Bitcoin, and then suddenly Bitcoin is at 200,000, 300,000, 500,000, a million, right? Well, you know, they're becoming wealthier, and you know, I think that's, yeah, I mean, it's who knows, like the redistribution of wealth in the world. You know, these countries are onboarding this first, then you know, it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, guys, let us know in the comment section below, which country do you believe will be the next to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender? Because even I've been seeing this latest news that is coming out, Tonga, which is a smaller island closer to here, so they might be the next one to legalize it. Tonga is generally full of migrant workers, they say, right? The thing why they want to use this is because, like one of our members over here in Australia, Nick, was saying last week, he hates using Western Union because of the charges and the fees. Because they're migrant workers and they're sending money back to New Zealand or Australia or wherever it is, one of the neighboring countries, they are paying so much in Western Union fees. So that's why Tonga is saying, look, actually, we think this could work. We're seeing the business model that El Salvador are using, and we think we might implement it, which again is pretty exciting. And for South America, Uruguay are now one step closer to legally allowing citizens to buy and sell Bitcoin. Not even legal tender yet, but just to start using it in day-to-day life to buy and sell, which again, it's baby steps, but for a mass adoption, you're now seeing a wave of countries that are coming up. And people might say, well, these are small countries, Gav, you know, bring us something decent. So I have Brazil. They're now looking to make Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Payments are going to be legal to buy houses, make investments. You can even go to Mackie D's to buy your meal. Now, there's a population of over 250 million. It's currently in the bill state, so they're in the process of making it legal. But can you imagine, even if another 5% of people take that up in the next couple of months, that's another 12.5 million people that are adding to the whole consciousness of being aware of cryptocurrencies, which is huge.
It is huge. And remember, limited supply, increasing demand, you know, that kind of says it all, the basics of economics. So really, like the only risk you have of Bitcoin not working out is if suddenly, like, there was a switch to a different cryptocurrency, which I can't see happening, to be quite honest. Or the only other risk you have is if you keep your money on an exchange where you get hacked. I'm sidetracking a bit, but I was reading on Twitter a really sad story. Somebody literally got kidnapped and buried alive and they made him transfer all of his money on essentially basically before they buried him, and somehow he came out of it.
Wow, that must have been North London, mate. That wouldn't have been where I used to live.
No, he's in Russia, mate. Nothing over here. He's in Russia, but it is crazy. I mean, like, so you've got to be really careful. But like, in terms of like Bitcoin as a whole, I just think it's you know, and the institutional interest. That's the thing that you've got to. That's the marker when you're seeing big institutions accumulating it. That is a marker that you can just. They don't do that. I can tell you, I've worked for hedge funds. I've worked for these big banks. They do not do that lightly. It takes them an age. And I'm like, why have you taken so long? But that's how they work. They don't just get into So you and I can get into a speculative investment. We can buy something with a 20 million market cap and say, do you know what? I love the potential of this. But institutions don't do that. It's like, we need this to be a beast, which can be an even bigger beast for us to invest in it. And that's what's happening now. And they're investing in a few projects, but obviously Bitcoin is the number one.
Well, we're going to touch on that because there's been some massive developments for the crypto market as a whole. We're just trying to keep this relevant to Bitcoin and Bitcoin news for today. So let's check in with some of the comments from some of the guys that are live. So Zach is live on Facebook. I believe he's based in Japan. He's saying many countries in Africa will start legalizing it soon. I believe African nations are growing fast in users. That will make sense as well, because I know a lot of my African friends, they were always sending money via Western Union and they used to hate paying all the fees. Con's saying mandatory Bitcoin passports. That's probably the only version of that whole gubbins and tomfoolery that I wouldn't mind. And Nicholas, who's tuning in live on YouTube, Mackie D's, wow. But yeah, so, I mean, look, they're starting.
How much is it going to be for a Big Mac? 0.0003 Bitcoins.
Can you imagine though? Like the only thing that would make me nervous about that if I was in El Salvador or somewhere like that, just purely using cryptos, seeing someone like you at work and how you can see the changes in the market. Imagine if there's like a 20% swing every month, then you would just be loading up as soon as it's at the top of one of the channels, right? Everybody would just be watching you every week, do your breakdowns. And then we'd be like, right, I'm getting toilet paper. I'm getting my weekly shop. I'm getting my monthly shop. I'm going to get a year's worth of toilet paper. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And this is what I was saying a few weeks ago. This is the bit that these were always the doubts because of the huge volatility. But one thing that I will say, like anything, once something becomes mainstream, you're not going to get this volatility in the future. And I guess that's where other nations that are a bit more stable already might start looking at that as a potential way of payment, as an alternative, let's say, to fiat. But I think that's where we need to get to. It's like like anything, it takes time, And at this stage right now, we want the volatility as traders because that's how we make a lot of money. As I've said a few times, people have always asked me, what should I get into? Should I get into FX? Should I get into cryptos? Cryptos right now will give you the biggest return on risk. That's the reality. Like the kind of moves that you get for the risk that you take, you just don't get that anywhere else. Why? Because it's not mainstream, and that's why it's like, imagine if something's like $10 and it should be $1,000, right? So that you get crazy movements, 20% up, 30%, 50%. You get them because they're not where they need to be. When they're mainstream, they're higher price, but you're never going to see these moves again. So
yeah, that's a really good point. And it's like the analogy. It's like growing up, especially when I was living in London, the January sales, everybody does a stampede to go to their favorite stores to get 60, 70, 80% off, right? That's what it's like for us. Anybody that's involved in cryptos and you have a pullback or a retracement to one of the cryptos that you believe in, it's like the January sales every day. Imagine if everyone in the world or everyone in your country started doing January sales every day, the amount of volatility that would increase. That's just crazy. But that's
what it is.
Yeah, that's what's happening. And just for the record, this is official. Nicholas is the official spokesperson for the world of Mackie D's. It's how many zeros? 0.1 Bitcoin for a Big Mac meal. So that's official, just in case you were looking. If we've got any viewers in El Salvador and they're looking to go out now and they're feeling a bit peckish, then
add delivery to that, mate. You might need a 5 at the end of that.
It would cost, if it was Uber Eats, it would cost more for the delivery than the bloody burger.
I know, they're cheeky buggers, aren't they?
So look, guys, that's it for the Bitcoin news today. Andy almost jumped the gun when we were doing earlier on. So earlier on, we just did the Bitcoin news of today, and you started talking about hedge funds and obviously your background in hedge funds. And I was like, oh, hold on a minute, mate, because we're going into the crypto news. And there has been some massive, massive developments in the world of cryptos. So let's go into this one, actually. So I'm just checking my notes again. We'll start with a serious one, because I know there's one point in here that you won't be happy about. As a former hedge fund trader and a professional trader, you don't like the silly tokens. But XRP Ripple news, there's been a huge breakthrough. Judge Torres, who's obviously the judge of the case for Ripple versus the SEC, she's granted a Amici status, if I'm saying that right, I'm not sure, to John Deacon and Movance, and denies motion to intervene by the SEC. So basically what that means is that they now get to present their case in the final kind of, like in the movies where Matthew McConaughey strides forward and gets the whole jury to kind of believe and saves the day. Well, now Ripple get the chance to have that, when before they weren't literally allowed to present anything on their case, which is a massive, massive breakthrough, because it's becoming clear that Gensler is very much anti-cryptos, almost anti-XRP. What are your thoughts on that as a professional trader and someone who used to work in the banks and the hedge funds?
Yeah, I mean, it's this has been ongoing for a while now, but I don't think Ripple is the only one that's going to be targeted. Now, obviously, the outcome of this case is going to be it's in the balance, I would say, but up to now, what we've seen is like that, they normally get away with a fine or some kind of negotiation. I think the fact that they're going to get the opportunity to defend themselves, I think, is important. And I know, just kind of reading online and seeing what the team feel, they really feel that once they present their case, that it will be a slam dunk win for Ripple. That's kind of the sentiment. What's interesting, I think, is also to look at the price. I mean, the Ripple hasn't really done much. It's kind of waiting at the moment. It's kind of waiting for the outcome of this, and it's going to have an effect on other cryptocurrencies for sure in that space. And I guess like one of my fears is how it might affect, some of the sort of DeFi coins that I'm invested in DeFi and I believe in DeFi, but I do think that the SEC might be coming after them after Ripple. So that's going to be an interesting one. But obviously, if Ripple win the case, then it might just kind of be, I guess, a non-event after that point. But I do think that it's interesting. I think, for me, I think Ripple will win the case. I'm positioned long in Ripple, and I do believe that there's no way that they can class Ripple as a stock. It doesn't do the same thing as a stock, so it's just being heard. And I think it's one of those where it's, I guess, an old regulation. There's no real way of defining it yet. And I think after this, it might just redefine how all of the cryptos are looked at, and maybe it will open up the space for everything to be okay. So yeah, that's kind of really my thoughts on it, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're trying to rule that it's a security, right? Like you said. But if they can't do that, and there is someone, part of the SEC, so Gensler is very much against it. There's kind of two camps forming. There's a guy called Hector Purse, I believe his name is. What he's doing is he's saying, look, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to push for clearer regulation, which is fine. But then Gensler's trying to say, no, it's a security, and then that's why you have to do this, you can't do this. And obviously Ripple are feeling extremely got at and extremely victimized by this. But if it goes the way that you're saying, again, what's that going to do but nothing but help the adoption of cryptos in the mainstream, which moves us on to our next bit of crypto news for today. And that's one of the biggest banks in America. So look, the SEC are trying to say, no, cryptos and stocks, they're securities, blah, blah, blah. The Bank of America have announced that cryptocurrencies are now too large of a market to ignore, and that it's massively bullish on cryptocurrencies, so much so that it's set to launch its own research coverage, which means that more institutional money will be coming into cryptos alongside, again, more people who don't actually know about cryptos to find out about what it is, what it does. Like, complete polar opposite of the last thing that we've spoken about, right? Can you remember, it wasn't long ago when Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan, they were trying to stop people from buying cryptos. And now the Bank of America is saying, look, cryptos is a beast, like you were saying earlier. It's a beast. We want to get on this. We want to ride this bad boy up to the moon.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, and I think that's just going to keep growing, and it really kind of, and I think that if you think like the percentage of people that are involved in crypto right now is tiny. Some people really feel that they're really, really late to the game. Like, they really feel late to the game. And of course, like, we'd rather have bought Bitcoin when it was at cents, right? Like, you'd rather have got started in 2010 when hardly anybody knew about it. But in comparison to, where we are, like, it's the first time we've got somebody using Bitcoin to pay for stuff, like El Salvador, right? Like, as we said earlier. And I think, that's one thing. But, if for these guys that are here with us right now, they've been with us for a little while, they probably feel like, they've been in the crypto space for quite a while. But like, if you go and kind of ask the general Joe blogs down the road, they don't know anything about crypto, right? They don't know anything about crypto. They don't understand it. They don't know what it is. And, never mind if you said NFT, what's an NFT? This is just like an alien language to them, like the majority of people. So if you imagine, when will those people get involved? When everyone else, like, when all the institutions are already in, like, we're already in, obviously. But those people eventually will get involved when the price is much, much higher. So it's like the guys that are buying Apple now. Right, they're buying Google right now. Right, they're investing in Google and they're investing in Apple. Right. Well, it would have been better to do it 20 years ago, and I guess crypto right now is 15, 20 years ago of that generation. So I think it's there's just so much potential and it really is early, really early. So
I love that video. I love that video that you posted in the group, in the Facebook group, for that guy who invested in Apple, right? And he was going to sell it when he got in, and he was going to make like a few $100,000 profit. And he rang up his mentor, and he was like, "I'm going to cash out." He was like, "If you cash out, I'm not working with you anymore."
Yeah,
like, it was a really good video.
To millions, right? 20 million
16,
or something.
Yeah, 16 million. $16 million.
Yeah, that's a really good example. I mean, it is tempting, like for anybody. Like once you've made a certain amount of money, like I always believe, look, take some out. Like even if it's just your initial investment, take it out. But then the rest of it, you should leave it, because if, for example, you invested and you turn, let's say, I don't know, you turn 10 grand into 50 grand and you cash it out, the likelihood is in 5 years' time, that's probably going to be worth $500,000, like as a generalization, right? So you have to really think about that. So for me, it's like, I'm looking at this as a long-term game where cryptocurrencies are the mainstream, and you need to have a 5-year plan. You can't be thinking about what's going to happen next month or 2 months or 3 months. Oh my God, Bitcoin's gone down 20%, 30%. It's the end of the world. It's not. It's an opportunity. And that's how we look at things here.
Cool. Okay. So the last point I want to cover in the crypto news that's come out today, old Elon Musk, bless him. Elon has been doing.
He's getting on my nerves. I used to like him, but he tweets too much.
Well, he tweets when he wants to get some cash flow in.
Absolutely.
To Tesla. I'm sure of it. So
I need to get that kind of power, mate.
Mate, good
we need to grow this group, guys.
I don't know if anybody has seen this, and let us know what you think in the group about old Elon, bless him. But so basically, it's come out. He's been doing his thing again. Tesla has announced it's set to accept Shiba Inu coin, which is now predicted. But listen to this, right? Listen to this. This is where it gets valid, right? So Shiba Inu is now predicted to hit 10 cents, and it's still not even at a cent yet. It's got resistance around that 0.8, and it screams alarm bells to me, and I'll tell you the reason why. So last month, it was listed on Coinbase and Binance, and it broke through its resistance. So there's 5 zeros, so it's 0.00007, and then it's gone up to 0.00087. It's ranging around that area. So it's pretty small. It's got 60,000 followers on their Twitter group or something, but they've already launched a Shiba Swap currency exchange, which is now available to the world's biggest exchanges. They've got like a layer 2 authenticity that they're working on to make it even faster. They've passed the trading volume of Doge, all within like the last couple of months. The amount of backing that these guys are getting are huge. Now, obviously, as a professional trader, you're in it to make money. But what do you think when you hear things like this? Because obviously now linking with Elon is clever, because he hasn't actually said anything. They're just speculating and using his name. But by all accounts, Tesla will accept Shiba Inu coin if someone wants to buy one of their cars.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I think I've said this before. Personally, I wouldn't invest in something that I thought was a joke, or I couldn't see a genuine project with a genuine team that's innovative in creating something good for the world.
Wait, Andy, just to clarify, because you're a bit on the fence of this. What is your opinion of Shiba Inu? Just to clarify.
I think it's dog poo.
I see what you did there, mate. I see
you
what
like
you did
that
there.
one, huh? And you've got the bags to look, on a serious note, it's up to every individual to decide where they invest their money. There's investing and there's trading, by the way. And when I'm trading to make money. I don't care what I'm trading in, because I'm literally doing my work. I'm trying to find movements, trying to find high probability situations. If I can trade whatever, Shiba Inu, doggy, whatever, like whatever somebody wants to create, and I can make money and it's a good probability trade, I'll take the trade. Of course, that's my job. I need to grow my trading account and get my results. But when it comes to investment, I kind of have two things. One, I'm looking to make money for sure. We're investing in something because we believe that it's going to go up in value. But I genuinely am investing in the project, like the idea behind it as well. Something I like about it, something that really resonates with me, or something I think that can make a real difference to the world. So I have both, and both are important to me. Like, I really need to understand what is it that they're trying to solve, and have they got the right team? Have they got the right ideas? How is it going to better the world? Not necessarily for me, but just in general. And if I can combine that with it making sense financially, then it's the perfect combination. And it could be, again, it could be me not fully understanding something, and I'm always open to that. But when I look at Dogecoin, when I look at Shiba Inu, I look at them as joke coins. There's nothing to those coins. Nobody's innovated anything new. And I just don't see the purpose that they bring, like that other coins. There's some cryptocurrencies that bring so much more that don't get the same attention. So I can't bring myself to invest in these cryptocurrencies, if I'm being honest. Like from that perspective.
Fair enough. Well, look, we're just checking with some of the comments. Facebook user, please click on the StreamYard link. We probably know who you are if you do that, and we can see your photo and your name, which is cool. But you make a valid point, whoever you are. Now he's flip-flopping between Doge and Shiba. Yeah, no one really knows what old Elon is up to, but he must have a method to his madness. Gary Hartley is saying, I'm really happy with that. Sheep all the way. He spent $50 on it ages ago for a punt. He's hodling 3.8 million coins. Nice.
Good job.
Keep it to $1. Keep it to $1, Gary. If Elon's involved, dollar easy.
Possible.
So look, guys, that concludes our crypto news for today. We're now going to jump into Andy's favorite part, and most people's favorite part, which is the Bitcoin price prediction.
Finally, we're here. I've had to answer all your questions.
Well, it's just giving your point of view, mate. I think it's good to talk about all of this because it shows what the groundswell, the foot soldiers, if you will, like all of these countries taking this on, and also as well, I forgot to say, guys, just let me know in the comment section. I'm really intrigued. I would imagine more people than not would know about this because of you guys are at the tip of the spear. Who's heard of Pandora's Papers or the Pandora Papers? Has anybody heard of that? It's going to be something probably worth Googling. Box. Yeah, something a little bit different to that, but the analogy is similar. And I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of countries are fast forwarding their adoption in cryptos. That's all I'm going to say at the moment. Zach saying, yes, he's heard of it. He read it in the army. Interesting. Very good. That's really cool. Basically, it's a massive corruption has come out. I'll just summarize it for 30 seconds and try and remain as impartial as possible. But it would be worth having a look at to see the general context that's going on around the world. So all of these politicians and world leaders, they're all saying, oh, no, we don't like cryptos because it encourages crime and money laundering and people can go offshore and they don't have to pay taxes. And yes, there is an element to all of that. But then it's come out that basically all of these same politicians and world leaders are doing the exact same thing, but they're just using the fiat money system. They're using banking to send all their money and assets offshore so that they don't have to pay taxes. So it's the clear hypocrisy case of do as I say, not do as I do, which kind of gets my goat. So, yep, there's quite a lot of people saying, yeah, they've heard of it. Kevin's heard of it. Nick's heard of it as well. He has mentioned a country. I don't want to get anybody involved in that, but yeah, go and check it out for yourself because it is going to be quite interesting. So with all of that being said, we are at the point of the show where we do our Bitcoin price prediction. which basically means our in-house professional trader, Andy Demi, is going to give us his Bitcoin price prediction ranging from the next 7 hours all the way up to the next 7 days and everything in between. He's been pretty reliable the last few weeks, to say the least. So do you accept this week's challenge to give your professional trader Bitcoin price prediction for us?
Completely. I'm ready to go, Gav.
You sound excited, mate.
I am, mate. I am. This is what I love to do, guys. Yep. Can everyone see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Great. So, look, I wanted to kind of make this a bit more simple because, you know, I appreciate some people are beginners. And so I've, before we've got on, I've cleaned my chart up a bit. As you know, the guys that follow me a bit, like I like to have a lot of lines, but we're gonna just start this and actually keep this quite simple to begin with. And I'm gonna speak about what I think is going to happen next in Bitcoin. So one of the things that that is good to always have a look at is the cross of the 50 and the 200. So this is like something that investors look at, and because it's now becoming a lot more institutional, I think it's always good to see, you know, are we above the 50 EMA? Are we above the 200 EMA? And, you know, where is it crossed? So you can see here that this was when we were, you know, Bitcoin really did look quite bearish at this point over here. You can see the 50 had crossed below the 200. That hadn't happened for a very, very, very long time. You know, you'd have to go back to sort of 2000 April. And then since the cross has happened upwards, which is basically here in May 2020, you know, Bitcoin has basically gone up from, you know, a price of about 10,000 and it hit 65,000. Since then, I'm really happy to see that we've had the cross back up, and you can see now the price is also above the 50 moving average. So that's a bullish sign for Bitcoin for sure. You know, do I now think that we're definitely going higher? Well, we'll break that down right now, and I'll kind of give you my views. So let's have a look at a couple of things and what might happen. So one of the things that I like to see is that I like to just kind of see, you know, if there's any channels, and you can just about see there's a nice channel line. You may not be able to see the spikes, but we're spiking into them here. So spike, 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 and here as well. So that looks like a nice reactive resistance line. And if you kind of look, markets like to move at the same sort of speed across the board. So all I'm doing here is I'm just using that information to help predict where the market might go next. Let's see, there was something in the middle as well over here. So you can see that the market really does like to react at the same sort of levels. And what you can also do is you can also take the current high and use that as a predictor as to where the market might go. And that is right there. So that's like, so right now that's basically showing us that Bitcoin is at that sort of angle resistance right now, and potentially might store here. Now, the other thing that we do have here is the fact that we have that 50,000, which is a big psychological level. So you can see we kind of spiked into it here and here. So at the last, we've had a couple of rejections here in the past. I'll just show you. So just circle them here so you can see rejection, rejection, like price action there and there and there. So definitely there's a lot of interest at 50,000. So for me right now, you've got to kind of watch this carefully. And we want to kind of see if this market is going to break through 50,000. If we break through 50,000, then one of the things that we can do is we can look at the Fibonacci to identify where the market might go. So for those that understand how this works, you've got your A, B, C, D. Okay, it completes the cycle there. okay, on our 1618 target. And then the new cycle begins right here. We'll just draw that in. And right now that gives us a pullback to about the 786, which was a perfect pullback. I mean, we did speak about 41,000 being a key area that could create a bounce. It has bounced so far. Like I said, it doesn't mean that's the low. Okay, we've got a lot to prove still, but it was a great level, great entry point for those that took the opportunity to go long. And now we're at another key point. So if this market does break up from here, then the most obvious next target is going to be this block here, which is basically, here's our yellow target, which is our 1272 extension. And sometimes the market might overshoot towards the next level up. So I would block that out there as an area where I would say, okay, if Bitcoin can break through here, take out that high, we might have a scenario something similar to this, and this is what I'll be looking out for. And we'll use the lower time frames to help us. So if we do this, sorry, that's my pen. So if we do break, then one scenario that you could look at is a push up, a push down, and this push down could be slightly different to this. And then potentially we try and break up again and make an attempt to break these all-time highs. If I just draw the imaginary fibs, guys, again, this might be a little bit advanced for people, but just to help us, if we draw our imaginary fibs, that's the 38.2 perfectly, as if I had practiced that. And then, so you'd be looking at something like that as a move to go back towards those all-time highs. That's a possibility. Right now, we've got to break through here. Now, I want to give you the other scenario. And then we'll look at the lower time frames as well. So the other scenario that we've got is that we don't break here and we hold. Okay, so in the short term, if you use like an hourly time frame, you might even be able to find a short opportunity here, knowing that this is a key area to break. Now, if what could happen is you could just simply get a reaction, and then this area here is like a new buy area for the final break, right? So that's possible as well. So we react and then we break. On the flip side, if we were to break through here, this low here, I would then turn quite bearish on the fact that maybe we're going to now go push back towards here. So if you have a look here, why have I chosen this area? Look at this level of support that this area holds, guys. Make a note of this. 46,800 is very, very important for this market. If we clean that out, okay, I think we potentially go lower, and we potentially go and test this lower channel, and I'll tell you in fib terms what that looks like. So what we would do, I'm just going to take the AB right here, okay. So we have an A, we have a B, and we have a pullback basically at this stage towards this yellow line right now, which is the 127. And often when it's a reversal, it goes to the overextension. So I would be looking at, in that case, if we were to, and this is just to be clear, if we break 46,800, 46,700, and we close below it, I would be looking for this area to target as an entry point potentially for a long trade. So that would take us down to about 40 to 38,000 would be your kind of rough area to look at a long trade. So, and then there's probably some support coming in around the same sort of channel. So, and things can happen real quickly. Remember, we have got an important information coming out on Friday with non-farm payrolls. If that ends up being bullish for the dollar, that's going to be bearish for Bitcoin. You could easily easily, guys, get a spike, a big move down to here, and then a bounce. Okay, so I've given you two scenarios. You've got to, and they're very clear, guys. Watch for the break of 50,000 and this angle in particular. Do we close above it or not? If we do, I think we run up to this next block, in which case you could take lower time frame trades up. If we hold, you could take a scalp short up to this zone here. But if we break through this support area here, I'm going to be looking at a move potentially lower. So this is going to be quite key for me to see what happens here. The additional thing you can look at is the volume. So right now, I've said this a few times. We always like to have the backing of the volume. It's not there yet. I mean, you can take. It's not bad. I mean, you had a little bit of an uptick there in volume. That was a big bar, right? That was a big bar. How does it compare? Like, if you just kind of look at this, right? Let me show you something. So look at these two down bars. Okay. The volume was there. You can see an obvious increase in volume. And then we've got two big up bars. So this one and this one. The volume is just not, it's not the same. It's less, right? It's a lot less. The buying volume at the moment is less than the selling volume. So for me, this is not a slam dunk that we're going higher. I think we have to be cautious. We have to be very cautious. For me, I want to see a break. I want to see a break of 50,000. I want to see an increase in volume. It doesn't make any sense to get long Bitcoin right now. Not here, not at this price. So that's kind of my stance on it. Let me know if anyone's got any questions. I can also take, if we've got time, Gavin, I can have a quick little look at the lower time frames because it can be helpful. You let me know.
Cool. So I think, look, that's been really good. And look, I've been hearing so many people talking out in the world out loud when not necessarily they should. I mean, just a couple of hours ago, someone is with a lot of followers is saying Bitcoin end of year 200,000, and at the end of the cycle, which is around February, March time next year, they're predicting 400,000. Now, it's not to say that it can't get there, but what we're giving you here is between the next 7 hours and the next 7 days. And that's worked really well for everybody that's been here watching this weekly, week on week. How great has it been to have a former hedge fund trader like yourself who's got more of a cautious nature, who's got more of a, not so carefree with their money and their finances. You've got to have low risk, high probability trade written all over it for someone like you to get involved. So just to clarify for maybe people that are newer, maybe they don't have as much trading experience, just clarify the two options of where you think things are going to go within the next 7 hours to 7 days.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's maybe three scenarios actually rather than two. Like the third scenario is that we stay in this range between the key level, which is the 46.7, 46.8 key area. So we stay within here and 50,000 until the end of the week. And then we have non-farm payrolls, and that basically sparks the move up or down, right? Bullish dollar, strong numbers, probably bearish Bitcoin is the norm. Bear in mind, as I've said in the breakdown of the news, it's not as simple as just the job numbers. You have to look at the hourly earnings as well. So that's going to have an impact. So let's just say if it's bullish news for dollar, bad for Bitcoin, bearish news for dollar, good for Bitcoin. So that could be the one scenario where we stay within this range. Short term, you could take an opportunity to sell here, buy here, and just trade the range. Okay, so that's option number one. Option number two is we break above 50,000 and we see a little bit of an uptick in volume, ideally. So it's not, so it doesn't look like and smell like a fake out. Remember, this is a manipulated game. So it could easily be pushed up and then pushed back through. So you've got to ideally look at the volume. So if it breaks. Remember, you're breaking 50,000. You should see some activity. Go to the lower time frames and look at the volume on the breakout bar. That's the most important, on the breakout bar. If it looks like a clean break, you can buy pullbacks, ideally to 50,000, all the way up to 54, 55,000. On the flip side, if we break through 46,800, I'd be looking to buy sell pullbacks into this area here, all the way down towards 37 to 38,000. So those are the kind of key scenarios, and we're just waiting for the market to show us right now. But as of right now, the only opportunity that I can see just off this time frame is to look for a short signal to take advantage of where we are at resistance, if it makes sense and it matches your trading plan.
Awesome. Drop the mics. More Bitcoin knowledge bombs dropped. And just to clarify, so we've had Zach drop a comment in for us. Just to recap, you said if the dollar is bearish, then there will be a good chance for Bitcoin to become more bullish? Question mark.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's it's generally like that's the case. Like it's a risk. Well, there's a lot to this question, but in the current circumstances, it opens the door for a hike in the interest rate or in US dollars, and that generally what that normally means is like more money flows to less risky assets, i.e. bonds, and that means money flows away from riskier assets like stocks and crypto. So in this case, if like the jobs are good, and the hourly earnings stay steady, there's a good chance that the Fed's going to increase rates or reduce tapering and be on that path of increasing rates. So they'll have a more hawkish stance. So because of that, it tends to, and by the way, that's just as a standalone event. That doesn't mean that, oh my word, if the dollar's strong, Bitcoin's going down. It just means as a standalone event, that's what happens. Money moves away from risky assets and it flows into less risky assets. But that could just be a temporary thing, and good news comes out for cryptos, and it still flies higher. So that's what makes trading and markets interesting. It's not a kind of case of like, it's never going to be completely black and white, but you just have to be aware of, because that could give you an opportunity, right? Like that could be an opportunity. We say, look, I'm bullish Bitcoin. So if that happens and it pushes Bitcoin down, I'm still happy to buy on the dip. So doesn't necessarily mean let me sell all my Bitcoin.
Cool.
Does that
and
make
I think
sense?
the important, let us know, guys. Let us know in the comments. I think the important thing to bear in mind here is that we're giving you more of a deeper dive over the next 7 hours to 7 days. Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, everybody would be ecstatic here if Bitcoin hits 500,000 by the end of the year, but we don't know that, and that's in the future. All we can kind of look at now is this more granular approach, and that's why I love hearing your chart breakdown. If you're watching this and you're like, what news was he talking about when you talked about this? So we talk about cryptos on Tuesdays. We talk about FX on Mondays. So every Monday in our private Facebook group, the Crypto and FX Traders Club. So if you're not a member yet, just jump in to Facebook, send a request, we'll let you in, and you can watch the live show where we break down the biggest FX news of the week and then jump into an FX Pro trade setup of the week, all within 15 minutes. Yesterday we did gold. That's looking quite good. We'll give an update in the group later. So look, that's everything we've got time for today. That is almost an hour done and dusted, just like that, Boo Boo. What do you think?
Well, it doesn't matter what I think, but
very true.
I always think I'm great, but it doesn't matter what I think.
That's what your mama told you. That's what my mama told me. So Zach's saying, that makes more sense now. And generally when people make comments like that, that means that it's making sense for the majority of you as well, which is great. Con, thank you very much, kind sir. Great show, guys. Great to have you with us. No music today. We're just going to bounce straight out with our little thank you for watching. Is there anything you want to say before we bounce and vamos?
No, just make sure that you are on your charts on Friday at 1:30, and it could get messy, it could get volatile, or nothing could happen. Who knows? But definitely you need to be in front of your charts.
And if you're wrong,
yeah,
if you're wrong about Bitcoin, you're no longer a legend. Just me.
That's fine. I'm happy with that.
And Andy, just answer this question for Facebook user. They made a promise telekinetically to me that they would register on the StreamYard link so we can see their name if you answer this question. What time is it on Monday, por favor? By the way, guys, can you tell I've got cramp in my glute? Can you tell I've had it for about 5 minutes? I'm like, oh man, I'm trying to stay still, but I just had to let it out. I had to let it out what's going on. So please answer the question while I give my left buttock a massage.
12 o'clock? What are we talking about? Our show?
Yeah. What time is the FX show?
12 p.m. guys, UK time.
UK time. And if you're over this side of the world, closer to Australia, it's 9 p.m. AEST, although Con was talking about some time change. Australia is so big, there's so many different time changes in the country. I'm not used to a country this big where there's like 4 or 5 different time zones in one country. It's nuts. But yeah, good old fashioned Blighty, 12 p.m. BST. Be there next Monday. Great to have you. And you'll get a ton of knowledge in the world of FX if you are so after that. So we're going to love you and leave you. Thank you very much for watching, guys. And we'll see you next week.
Take care, guys.